In a small village nestled between green hills and the sea, where time seems to honor the slow steps of those who live calmly, lives Donna Luisa, a 102-year-old lady. With her white hair neatly tied in a bun, she walks every day to the little square, where she makes a point of feeding the birds and chatting with the children passing by. When asked about the secret to her longevity, she smiles with her eyes and says, "It's because I never stopped dreaming." This simple, almost poetic phrase invites us to dive into one of the most fascinating factors of healthy aging: the mind. Far beyond genetics or physical habits, there's an invisible but powerful force that centenarians share. A unique way of seeing the world, responding to difficulties and nurturing hope. Robust scientific studies have revealed that one of the biggest differentiators among people who live to 100 years or more with health and clarity lies in how they think, feel, and deal with life's adversities. A classic example comes from the Harvard longitudinal study, which began in 1938 and followed over 700 men for decades. What researchers discovered was surprising. The quality of thoughts, emotional stability, and the presence of deep relationships were directly linked to longevity and health, much more than cholesterol levels or family medical history. In other words, what happens inside the mind deeply influences what happens inside the body. The science of psychoneuroimmunology, which studies the interaction between the mind, brain, and immune system, has shown that emotions such as optimism, gratitude, and having a sense of purpose activate brain areas related to cellular regeneration, boost immune function, and reduce chronic inflammatory processes, which, in turn, are at the root of diseases like Alzheimer's, cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular issues. A study conducted by the Mayo Clinic in the United States revealed that people with an optimistic outlook had a 50% lower risk of early death, compared to more pessimistic individuals. This held true even among seniors with chronic illnesses. But what does this mean in practice? It means that cultivating a positive, resilient, and hopeful mind is not an emotional luxury, it's a survival strategy. Centenarians like Donna Luisa, Mr. Anselmo, or the Japanese woman Misao Okawa, who lived to be 117, have in common not only physical endurance, but also an impressive mental resilience. They went through wars, loss, illness, poverty, and yet something remained untouched inside them. The ability to keep believing in life, to laugh at themselves, to forgive, to adapt, and to not be consumed by bitterness. It's as if, while the body aged, the spirit remained young, flexible, and full of curiosity. Another significant study, conducted by the US National Institute on Aging, found that seniors with a high degree of life engagement, that is, those who kept learning, taking interest in new things, setting goals, and staying socially active, had better preserved cognitive functions, even after age 85. And this mental protection came with physical benefits, such as fewer falls, better blood pressure control, and even greater muscle strength. A stimulated mind nourishes the body, and vice versa. But pay attention. A long-lived mind does not mean forced positivity. The most emotionally healthy elders are not those who ignore pain or pretend that nothing bad happens. They are the ones who developed what psychologists call emotional resilience, the ability to feel everything without drowning in any of it, to cry when they need to seek help when necessary, and to get back up, even if slowly, with the dignity of those who know life is worth living, despite all its imperfections. That's why caring for the mind is just as essential as caring for the body. And that can be done in many ways. Learning something new every day, practicing gratitude, avoiding excessive negative news, staying socially active, laughing often, connecting with something greater, be it spirituality, art, or nature, and most importantly, wisely choosing which thoughts you feed. As Viktor Frankl, Austrian psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, once said, "Everything can be taken from a person but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." In short, the secret of elders who don't age inside out is not just in supplements or diets, but in the way they could tend to the garden of the mind every single day. A mind that doesn't cling to grudges, that doesn't surrender to fear, that doesn't forget how to play, that honors the past without being imprisoned by it, That mind has the power to extend life, soften symptoms, give meaning to the years, and transform old age into a rich, luminous, and opportunity-filled stage. And perhaps, as Donna Luisa would say, that's the true secret. Never stop dreaming, even when the body tires, even as time goes by. Because where there are dreams, there is life. And where there is life, there is always hope. Imagine a simple wooden table worn by time, set outdoors under the shade of an olive tree. On it, colorful dishes release fresh aromas, leafy greens, grilled vegetables, extra virgin olive oil, whole grains, and a glass of red wine served with moderation. There's no rush to eat. Every bite is celebrated. Every story told between spoonfuls becomes part of the ritual. This is not a fictional scene. It happens daily in regions of the world where people live longer and better. Places like Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Icaria, Greece, Nicoya, Costa Rica, and Loma Linda, California, are known as the blue zones, where longevity isn't the exception, it's the norm. And one common thread unites them all. Their food is alive, natural, and sacred. Science now confirms what popular wisdom has known for generations. What we put on our plates can silently but powerfully extend, or shorten, our days. A study published in Nature Food showed that replacing ultra-processed foods with whole, natural alternatives can add up to 13 years to one's life, especially when changes are made later in life. Yes, even after age 60, 70, or 80, changing your diet can bring real and immediate health benefits. It's never too late to start over, and your body is always willing to regenerate, as long as you feed it properly. But what exactly do centenarians eat? The answer lies in food that comes from the earth, not the factory. In the blue zones, the diet is largely plant-based, centered around foods like vegetables, greens, fruits, seeds, whole grains, legumes such as beans and lentils, nuts, olive oil, fresh herbs, and plenty of water. Meat appears rarely, usually in small portions and on special occasions. Sugar is consumed in moderation, and industrialized foods are nearly absent from the routine. The Mediterranean diet, for instance, widely regarded as one of the healthiest in the world, is characterized by high consumption of healthy fats, especially extra virgin olive oil, along with omega-3 rich fish, seasonal vegetables, whole grains, and wine consumed in moderation. Studies from the University of Navarra, Spain, involving more than 20,000 people, revealed that those following the Mediterranean diet showed a significant reduction in cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and cognitive decline. And best of all, even older adults who adopted this eating pattern later in life experienced improved quality of life and better metabolic health markers. In Okinawa, elders follow the tradition of harahachi bukafki, a principle of eating until you're 80% full. This prevents overeating and helps keep metabolism balanced. Their diet is light and rich in tofu, purple sweet potatoes, sea vegetables, and antioxidant teas. Everything is cooked with care and eaten in community, without digital distractions. This moderation isn't just cultural, it's strategic. A study published in the Journal of Gerontology showed that moderate caloric restriction is associated with lower levels of inflammation, better insulin sensitivity, and greater expression of longevity-related genes. Another longevity secret lies in variety on the plate. Colorful foods, especially purple, orange, dark green, and red vegetables, are rich in phytochemicals and antioxidants that combat oxidative stress, one of the main culprits in cellular aging. Fruits like blueberries, grapes, avocados, apples, and acerola help protect the heart, brain, and even vision. Compounds in these plants activate cellular defense mechanisms and strengthen the immune system, as shown by a study from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, which linked frequent fruit and vegetable consumption to a 25% reduction in overall mortality among seniors. And what should be avoided? Centenarians tend to steer clear of or limit to the minimum foods now common in modern diets. Ultra-processed items, processed meats, soft drinks, refined flours, excess sugar, reused frying oils, and artificial products loaded with preservatives. These ingredients overwork the liver, inflame the body, disrupt gut balance, and accelerate cell aging. What many call natural aging is often a body poisoned by the modern food routine. Another crucial factor is the Mamanchi's emotional relationship with food. Eating slowly, with gratitude, in good company, with presence and pleasure, is one of the pillars of longevity. Digestion begins in the mind. When we eat anxiously, distracted, or in front of a screen, we activate the sympathetic nervous system, the one that prepares the body for fight or flight, impairing nutrient absorption. Seniors in the blue zones do the opposite. They eat as a ritual, at shared tables, often expressing gratitude before meals, which activates the parasympathetic nervous system and supports healthy digestion. Finally, it's important to remember that longevity also depends on proper hydration. Drinking water regularly, natural teas and light broths helps keep the kidneys active, the bowels moving, and the skin glowing. Studies from the National Institutes of Health, NIH, show that well-hydrated older adults have better cognitive function and a lower risk of hospitalization. And this is something simple, inexpensive, and accessible to everyone. In short, seniors who don't age inside understand that their eating is an act of self-love. Every meal is an opportunity for healing, regeneration, and vital energy. They don't follow diets, they live a food philosophy. And that philosophy can be summed up like this: eat what grows, not what is manufactured. Chew slowly, not with guilt. And nourish not just the body, but the soul as well. Because in the end, the secret of longevity isn't just about what you eat. It's about how and why you eat. Imagine an 84-year-old man walking confidently through the park, greeting everyone with a gentle smile, wearing workout clothes, headphones, and a sun-faded cap. Watching him, you'd never guess he's past 80. His posture is upright, his gaze sharp, his mind alert. Every morning at 6 a.m. he's there, and it's not out of vanity nor obligation, it's out of vitality. This man could be named Jorge, Manuel, Mr. Luis, or even Ms. Zulaide, but they all share the same secret. They keep their bodies in motion, and the body responds by keeping the inner youth alive. Sedentary behavior is one of the leading causes of functional decline in older adults. Data from the World Health Organization, WHO, shows that around 60% of seniors worldwide don't engage in regular physical activity, dramatically increasing the risk of heart disease, obesity, diabetes, depression, and even dementia. On the other hand, those who stay active live longer, get sick less, and maintain their independence for much longer. And the best part, you don't need to run marathons or do extreme workouts. The secret is in regularity and consistency. A study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine followed over 250,000 people for decades and concluded that engaging in at least 150 minutes of moderate physical activity per week, such as brisk walking, dancing, light cycling, or water aerobics, reduces the risk of death from all causes by up to 35% in people over 65. That means just 22 minutes a day is enough to radically change the destiny of both body and mind. Small doses of movement add up to major transformations, but it's not just about walking. The human body, even in old age, is a smart, adaptable machine. And like any machine, it needs to be stimulated in multiple areas: strength, flexibility, balance, and cardiovascular endurance. Lightweight training, for instance, is one of the most effective interventions for seniors, according to studies from the American College of Sports Medicine, ACSM. In addition to preserving muscle mass and strength, it increases bone density, reduces fall risk, improves insulin sensitivity, and even regulates mood-related hormones like serotonin. An inspiring example is Ernestine Shepherd, an American bodybuilder who began training in her 50s and became a global icon after age 70. But you don't need to go that far. For most seniors, exercises like chair squats, shoulder rotations with water bottles, seated abdominal crunches, leg lifts in bed, and using resistance bands already yield significant benefits. The key is to keep the muscles awake, preventing sarcopenia, the natural loss of muscle mass with age, which can be slowed with resistance training. Another often overlooked but essential element is balance. After age 60, the risk of falls increases sharply, and with it comes the risk of serious fractures, hospital stays, and loss of autonomy. Practicing Tai Chi, adaptive yoga, senior Pilates, and simple balance exercises, like standing on one leg with support, helps maintain proprioception, reflexes, and body stability. The National Institute on Aging recommends including balance training in seniors' routines at least 3 times per week. Movement also stimulates the brain wave. During physical activity, the body releases a substance called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which promotes the formation of new neural connections, enhances memory and attention, and reduces the risk of diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. A study from Columbia University in New York found that seniors who performed light aerobic exercises 3 times a week experienced an increase in the volume of the hippocampus, the region of the brain responsible for memory, a result previously thought impossible after age 70, and we can't forget the emotional impact. Physical activity is directly linked to reduced symptoms of depression and anxiety. Walking outdoors, dancing, swimming, joining group classes, or even active gardening are ways to release endorphins, the happiness hormones which promote well-being, reduce chronic pain, and boost self-esteem. For seniors who often face loss, grief, loneliness, and physical limitations, movement also becomes an act of emotional resistance, a way to keep their identity and connection with the world alive. And for anyone who thinks it's too late to start, here's the science-backed truth. It's never too late, ever. A study from the University of Oslo, Norway, found that seniors over 70 who began exercising saw a 30% reduction in the risk of death over the next 5 years. More than that, they reported better mood, more energy, improved social life, and a stronger sense of independence. What matters is to start safely, respect your body's limits, consult a health professional, and above all, find an activity that brings joy and purpose. It might be a walk with your grandchild, a dance class, a bike ride, gardening, swimming, or even walking the dog. The important thing is to not stop, because our movement is the body's language. And when it speaks, it says, "I'm alive. I want to live longer." So if there's a free remedy with no side effects and benefits beyond traditional medicine, that remedy is called movement. It doesn't come in capsules, but in steps, stretches, wind hugs, and smiles of resilience. Keep moving, because while the body moves, the inner youth stays lit. And when that happens, time simply respects those who choose to keep dancing with life. On a peaceful Sunday morning, Mr. Antonio, 89 years old, wakes up before the sun. He prepares his coffee, straightens his neatly pressed shirt, combs his hair with the same care as always, and heads to the senior club, where he faithfully plays the accordion in the town's music group. It doesn't matter if his hands no longer have the same steadiness or if his walk is slower. For him, that weekly commitment isn't just a hobby, it's the lifeline that connects him to life. There, he laughs, sings, listens to stories, and shares his own. There he feels that he still belongs, that he still matters, and that, more than any supplement or medication, is what keeps him alive, inside and out. Healthy aging depends not only on physical health or proper nutrition. One of the most powerful and silent pillars of longevity is the quality of human connection. Science has proven, and continues to prove, that loneliness kills. In contrast, the presence of meaningful relationships protects the heart, strengthens the immune system, and even extends life. The Harvard study of adult development, which has followed hundreds of people for over 80 years, reached an unequivocal conclusion. Relationships, more than money, fame, or diet, are the greatest predictors of a long, healthy, and happy life. But take note, it's not about quantity, but emotional quality. Having 10 superficial friendships isn't the same as having one deep bond with someone with whom you can be your true self. Emotional exchange, mutual support, genuine affection, and real listening are invisible nutrients that feed the heart and keep the soul awake. Older adults who maintain strong ties with friends, family, neighbors, or religious and social groups showed fewer cases of depression, lower risk of dementia, more stable blood pressure, and greater motivation to take care of themselves. Purpose in life is another essential ingredient for reaching 90 or 100 years with energy and enthusiasm. A study by the University of Michigan, involving over 6,000 people aged 50 and older, showed that having a clear purpose, whether it's caring for someone, contributing to the community, or continuing to learn, reduces the risk of early death by up to 43%. Having a reason to get out of bed each day protects the brain, regulates hormones like dopamine and oxytocin, and strengthens the cardiovascular system. In other words, living with meaning gives meaning to the body, and the body responds with greater health. And where can that purpose be found? In simple places, often overlooked. It might be in tending a plant, teaching a grandchild, cooking with love, doing volunteer work, joining a choir, writing your memoirs, forming a book club, or simply making someone laugh. There's no such thing as a small purpose when it's authentic, and it doesn't have to be grand to be valuable. It just needs to make you feel alive and useful. In Okinawa, Japan, one of the world's regions with the highest concentration of centenarians, there's a concept called ikigai, which means reason for being. There, people stay active into their final years because they believe they have a role, a mission, a unique contribution to the community. Ikigai is personal, profound, and non-transferable, and this philosophy alone is already a form of preventive medicine. It promotes movement, shields against isolation, keeps the mind engaged, and keeps the heart joyful. Social connection also protects the brain. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, found that older adults with an active social life are 70% less likely to develop Alzheimer's compared to those who live in isolation. The simple acts of conversation, sharing ideas, laughing together, hugging or reminiscing about the past, activate brain regions tied to memory, language, and emotion, strengthening neural networks and slowing cognitive decline. That's why dancing with friends, joining groups, laughing in conversation circles, making visits, attending celebrations, or even playing dominoes in the park aren't just leisure activities. They're powerful remedies, capable of regulating hormones, controlling stress, and even stimulating neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new pathways even in old age. A socially active life, therefore, is a form of emotional and cognitive exercise. And if you're in a phase of life where you feel more alone, know that it's always possible to start again. It could be a phone call to an old friend, a visit to the local community center, a walk with a neighbor, or even joining an online group of seniors with shared interests. What matters is not to close yourself off, not to stay silent, because every heart needs to be heard, and no heart should grow old alone. So if there's a true secret that centenarians carry in their hearts, it's not found in magic formulas, but in real relationships and a life with purpose. It's the grandchild who visits with affection, the friend who sends a weekly message, the neighbor who knocks on the door with a slice of cake and a sincere smile. It's the church group, the dance class, the town choir, the community garden. It's knowing that you are still needed, that you still have something to give, something to live for. The heart, that tireless muscle, doesn't know age. It beats to the rhythm of what moves us within. And if it's full of affection, connection, and purpose, time may pass, but life remains full, vibrant, and above all, filled with love. Donna Cecilia is 82 years old and has an almost sacred nighttime ritual. Around 8 in the evening, she turns off the TV, dims the lights in the house, prepares a cup of chamomile tea, and plays soft music. She walks calmly to her bedroom, puts on the cozy pajamas her granddaughter gave her, says a short prayer of gratitude for the day, and lies down in silence, unhurried, as if preparing for a deep dive into the soul's most restful place. Over time, Donna Cecilia learned that good sleep is not a luxury, it's a vital necessity, and that sleep is the silent ally of longevity, the one that heals from within without fanfare. In old age, it's common to hear phrases like, "I don't sleep like I used to," or "my sleep has become too light." This happens because with aging, the body naturally produces less melatonin, the hormone that regulates the sleep cycle, and also because neurological and hormonal changes alter the structure of rest, making sleep more fragmented, with shorter, deep phases and greater difficulty falling or staying asleep. But although these changes are common, they should not be seen as normal or inevitable. On the contrary, Quality sleep can and should be cultivated at every stage of life, especially in old age. Studies from the National Sleep Foundation indicate that adults over 65 need 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, on average, and that regularly sleeping less than that is associated with higher risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, depression, cognitive decline, obesity, and even early death. The Mayo Clinic, one of the most respected medical institutions in the world, also warns that chronic sleep deprivation in seniors can accelerate brain aging, impair memory, and reduce concentration, while significantly increasing the risk of falls and home accidents. During sleep, the body performs essential restorative functions. At night, the heart growth hormone EEG is released, aiding tissue regeneration, muscle recovery, and bone health. Sleep is also when the brain clears metabolic waste, such as beta amyloid, a protein associated with the development of Alzheimer's disease. A study conducted by the University of Rochester in the United States showed that the brain becomes up to 60% more efficient at eliminating toxins. During deep sleep, functioning as a kind of neural cleaning service that only happens when we are truly resting. So how can we achieve this restorative sleep in later life? The answer lies in building consistent habits and honoring your biological rhythm. So-called sleep hygiene is a set of simple practices that can transform sleep quality. These include keeping regular sleep and wake times, avoiding bright screens, like cell phones and TVs, at least an hour before bed, limiting caffeine after 4 p.m., and engaging in relaxing evening activities and creating a sleep-friendly environment, dark, quiet, and at a comfortable temperature. Morning exposure to natural light is also crucial for regulating the circadian rhythm, the body's internal clock. Just 15 to 30 minutes of sunlight in the early hours of the day helps stimulate serotonin production, which converts into melatonin by evening, making it easier to fall asleep. And for those who still struggle despite these efforts, it's important to seek specialized medical help, as conditions like sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, chronic insomnia, or inappropriate medication use may be quietly compromising sleep quality. Moreover, sleep is deeply tied to our emotional and mental state. Anxiety, sadness, worry, and racing thoughts are enemies of rest. Practices like guided meditation, deep breathing, prayer, reflective journaling, or listening to calming music can help slow the mind and prepare the body for more peaceful sleep. Studies from the HeartMath Institute have shown that just 5 minutes of conscious breathing before bed significantly lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, and increases heart rate variability, a strong indicator of nervous system balance. Another key point is to break the belief that good sleep is a thing of the past. Many older adults resign themselves to the idea that sleep will never be the same again, and that belief alone negatively affects the ability to rest. The brain is highly sensitive to the expectations we place on it. If we believe we won't sleep, the body prepares for wakefulness, but if we teach the mind to trust rest, it will respond. Cultivating more positive affirmations, calming visualizations, and soothing routines before bed can serve as an antidote to restless nights. And there's something even deeper. Sleep is also a symbol of surrender, of trust in life. Lying down, closing your eyes, and allowing the body to rest is an act of yielding to the natural rhythm of existence. It's an acceptance that we don't need to control everything, that rest is also productive, and that pausing is part of the journey. In our fast-paced culture, this is almost an act of courage, and certainly one of self-care. So never underestimate the power of sleep. It is a silent healer, an invisible repairer, a balm for both body and soul. Sleeping well not only helps you live longer, it helps you live better. Waking up with energy, with lightness, with the will to face the day, this is one of the greatest treasures we can earn in maturity. And the good news is that this treasure is within everyone's reach, with attention, affection, and patience. Just like Donna Cecilia, who learned to honor sleep as a daily gift, we can all build a new relationship with our nights. Because while we sleep, the body heals, the brain renews, and the heart rediscovers its natural rhythm. And in that restorative silence, life continues, brighter, healthier, and more complete. Mr. Orlando, 76 years old, lost his wife just over 2 years ago. For a while he barely spoke, wouldn't leave the house, ate very little and hardly slept. The world seemed grayer, heavier, but as the months passed, he discovered in meditation a way to reconnect with the inner silence that had been lost amidst the pain. Today, even before the sun rises, he sits quietly in his backyard, closes his eyes, breathes deeply, and stays there for a few minutes, simply feeling life. He says he doesn't pray for miracles, he just gives thanks for another day, and that little by little, he learned to deal with what he cannot control. Mr. Orlando discovered firsthand one of the greatest secrets of longevity. Inner peace is not the absence of problems, but the ability to stay balanced even in the middle of the storm. Stress is one of the most silent enemies of health in old age. It acts like invisible rust, slowly corroding the balance of body and mind. When it becomes chronic, it stops being a survival mechanism and turns into daily poison. And the worst part, many seniors don't even realize they're living under constant stress until the body starts showing signs. Muscle pain, insomnia, high blood pressure, weakened immunity, memory lapses, irritability, extreme fatigue. All of these can result from an overloaded nervous system. Science is clear on this. Research from the CHUS American Psychological Association, APA, shows that chronic stress accelerates cellular aging, especially by shortening the length of telomeres, the structures that protect our chromosomes. The shorter the telomeres, the more vulnerable the body becomes to disease, inflammation, and degeneration. In other words, stress not only steals your peace, it steals years of your life. And in old age, when the body already faces natural challenges, maintaining emotional balance becomes essential for preserving health and independence. But it's not just the body that suffers. The brain also pays a high price. Excess cortisol, the stress hormone, directly affects areas involved in memory, learning, and emotional regulation, such as the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. Studies from the University of California, Berkeley, have shown that high stress levels in older adults are associated with accelerated cognitive decline, greater risk of dementia, and impaired executive functioning. On the other hand, seniors who engage in relaxation practices and cultivate a calm mind show better cognitive performance, more vitality, and a higher sense of well-being. So how can we cultivate this inner peace in a world full of pressure, pain, and uncertainty? The answer lies in simple but powerful practices that help regulate the nervous system and reconnect the body to the present moment. One of the most effective is conscious breathing. Stopping for a minute, closing your eyes and breathing slowly, feeling the air flow in and out, is a reconnection gesture that activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which relaxes the body, lowers heart rate, stabilizes blood pressure, and calms the mind. Just 5 minutes a day can significantly reduce stress levels. Another powerful tool is meditation, which can be adapted to various beliefs, ages, and lifestyles. Meditation isn't about emptying the mind. It's about learning to observe your thoughts without clinging to them. It's about being present. Studies from Harvard Medical School show that people who meditate regularly have the lower cortisol levels, improved sleep, better anxiety control, and stronger immune systems. And the best part, the benefits begin to appear within a few weeks, even with short sessions. Additionally, contact with nature has a proven therapeutic effect. Walking in a park, tending a garden, listening to running water, or feeling the sun on your face are experiences that reduce stress system activation and stimulate the release of endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin, neurotransmitters linked to pleasure and well-being. A study from the University of Exeter in the UK found that spending at least 120 minutes per week in natural environments is associated with better physical and mental health, especially in people over 60. And we must not overlook the role of spirituality, which goes far beyond religion. Having faith, believing in something greater, practicing gratitude, forgiveness, and self-compassion are ways to find peace even amid loss and uncertainty. Seniors with active spiritual lives show lower rates of depression, greater life satisfaction, and better immune response. What matters isn't what you believe in, but how much that belief nourishes your soul and gives meaning to your existence. Another crucial aspect is learning to release the emotional weight carried throughout life. Holding on to resentment, guilt, and frustration is toxic. The body feels what the heart tries to silence. That's why writing letters never to be sent, talking to someone you trust, attending therapy, or even speaking out loud what's buried inside are ways to cleanse the soul. Repressed emotions become physical symptoms, and when released, they bring relief, lightness, and often healing. Cultivating a peaceful mind doesn't mean living in a perfect world. It means learning to respond with calm, even in the face of chaos. It's knowing that some things are beyond our control, but we can always choose how we respond. And that choice is an act of strength, maturity, and self-love. Stress may knock at your door, but how you receive or dismiss, it makes all the difference. So pause now for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the air entering. Feel life pulsing within you. Remember that, despite everything, you've made it this far. You are alive, and that alone is reason to be grateful. The peace you search for outside may already be within you, waiting for a moment of silence to emerge. And when the mind finds balance, the body responds, with better health, more lightness, and more years ahead. Donna Marinalva is 91 years old. She lives alone in a small house with a yard where she cares for orchids, cats, and memories. Every morning before she opens the window, she closes her eyes and gives thanks for the night's rest, for the warm coffee she's about to prepare, for the sunlight streaming through the glass, and even for the birds singing on the rooftop. People ask her how she can smile so much after so many losses, struggles, and pain, and she answers with the calm of someone who understands time. Hope never left me, and gratitude teaches me how to live. On the journey of longevity, positive emotions are not just beautiful feelings, they are biological tools for survival. Modern science has increasingly shown that gratitude and hope are two of the most powerful emotional factors for aging with health, clarity, and fullness. They don't just soothe the mind, they transform the body, the brain, and even the rhythm of the heart. Research from the University of California, Davis, led by Dr. Robert Emmons, one of the world's leading experts on gratitude, found that people who practice daily gratitude experience fewer physical symptoms, less pain, greater optimism, better sleep quality, a higher likelihood of exercising, and stronger relationships. And more. These effects are even more pronounced in older adults, acting as antidotes to isolation, pessimism, melancholy, and emotional stagnation. But how is that possible? The answer lies in brain function. When someone practices gratitude regularly, the limbic system, responsible for emotions, activates areas such as the hypothalamus and ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which are linked to mood regulation, social behavior, and decision-making. This activation reduces cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and increases dopamine and serotonin production, the neurotransmitters related to pleasure, well-being, and motivation. In simple terms, gratitude rewires the brain into a state of balance. And best of all, you don't need big reasons to be thankful. Studies show that writing down 3 things you feel grateful for each day, whether it's a kind gesture, a happy memory, or something as simple as the taste of tea, is enough to change brain chemistry and strengthen emotional health. This practice, known as a Heart Gratitude Journal, is even used in therapeutic treatments for depression in the elderly, with surprisingly positive results. Hope Equal, meanwhile, acts like an internal compass, a direction that guides the present even when everything feels uncertain. To have hope doesn't mean expecting everything to always work out, but believing that even when it doesn't, life still has value. It's the intimate belief that there's still beauty ahead, that there are still stories to live, people to meet, change to embrace, and unexpected joys to discover. And according to positive psychology, this is a key factor in resilience. Dr. Martin Seligman, the American psychiatrist and pioneer in this field, found that hopeful individuals recover more quickly from illness, adhere better to medical treatments, have lower risk of depression, and greater social engagement. He emphasizes that hope can be learned and cultivated through simple strategies like visualizing positive futures, recalling past achievements, and developing the habit of finding meaning in difficult situations. A study published in the Journal of Aging and Health revealed that seniors with high levels of hope displayed stronger immune function, more stable blood pressure, and higher life satisfaction, even when dealing with chronic pain or physical limitations. The explanation lies in how hope reshapes reality perception. It turns obstacles into challenges, problems into lessons, and helps people see themselves as active agents in their lives, not passive victims of fate. This brings us to a fundamental point. The combination of gratitude and hope creates the emotional foundation for healthy aging. When an older person is grateful for the past and hopeful for the future, they're more grounded in the present, with serenity and purpose. They live with lightness, even on difficult days. They understand that each year lived isn't a burden, it's a treasure, and this mindset directly impacts their physiology. Less inflammation, stronger immunity, better digestion, deeper sleep, and even greater mobility. In practice, cultivating these feelings can be very simple. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each day. Share something good with someone in the evening. Make a list of dreams that are still possible. Revisit old photos with affection. Try a new hobby, or simply look up at the sky and remember that being alive here and now is the greatest miracle of all. And even when life hurts, and it does, gratitude can become a choice. Not to deny the pain, but to recognize the light that still shines within the darkness. And hope can become a courageous decision. Not because everything is fine, but because you choose to keep believing it can be. Those who grow old without aging inside are not the ones who lived without suffering. They are the ones who learn to nurture what's good, even when everything around them seemed to fall apart. They are the ones who, like Donna Marinalva, give thanks for what they still have, and keep the faith alive that the best might still be ahead. That's what keeps them standing, smiling, walking, dreaming. So if there's something you can do today, even with pain, longing, or limitation, it's to choose to be thankful for something small and imagine something beautiful you still want to live. Because gratitude regenerates the present and hope builds the future. Together, they are the invisible fuel of those who live longer, with more health, more clarity, and more love. Donna Adelaide is 73 years old and has a phrase she repeats to everyone she meets. "Before I get sick, I take care of myself." While many believe aging is an inevitable path toward illness, she chose the opposite. The older she gets, the more she decides to know herself, listen to her body, and protect it. Every 6 months, she gets her checkups. She visits her gynecologist, ophthalmologist, and cardiologist, not because she's sick, but because she wants to stay healthy. Donna Adelaide understood what science is increasingly affirming. Prevention is the greatest investment an older adult can make in their own longevity. In Brazil and around the world, the concept of preventive medicine has gained ground as an essential approach to public health, especially in later life. And that's no coincidence. Data from the World Health Organization, WHO, indicates that up to 80% of chronic diseases in older adults could be prevented or managed early with effective preventive measures. High blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease, depression, and Alzheimer's. These are all conditions that can be delayed or even prevented with routine checkups, vaccinations, and conscious self-care. But what does prevention actually mean? It means taking ownership of your own health. It's going to the doctor even when you feel fine. It's knowing your numbers, your limits, your risks. It's understanding that a simple blood test can prevent a big problem, that a vaccine can mean the difference between a mild flu and a serious hospitalization. That taking care of yourself is not vanity, it's responsibility, it's self-love, it's wisdom. Let's start with medical checkups. The exams every senior should do regularly. According to the guidelines from the Brazilian Society of Geriatrics and Gerontology, SBGG, and the Ministry of Health, the main recommended exams for people over 60 include blood pressure and heart rate evaluation, blood tests, glucose, cholesterol, kidney and liver function, complete blood count, bone density test for early detection of osteoporosis, eye exam, especially for diabetics and those with hypertension, prostate exam for men over 50, mammogram and cervical cancer screening for women, cognitive assessment to detect early signs of dementia or memory decline, hearing and vision assessment, urine and stool tests, electrocardiogram and echocardiogram, Depending on personal history, these tests help detect silent changes before they become serious conditions. Often, symptoms only appear when a disease is already advanced. Prevention, therefore, is like installing an alarm before the fire, not trying to put it out afterward. Another fundamental pillar is vaccination for seniors, which is often neglected due to misinformation or prejudice. Contrary to popular belief, vaccines aren't just for children. They are powerful tools for protection in old age, when the immune system no longer responds as efficiently. The National Immunization Program, PNI, and the Brazilian Society of Immunizations, SBIM, recommend the following vaccines for people over 60. Flu vaccine, influenza. Given annually, it reduces the risk of respiratory complications by up to 50%. Pneumococcal vaccine. Prevents pneumonia and meningitis, diseases that can be fatal for seniors. Shingles vaccine. Protects against a painful viral infection that is common in older adults. Tetanus and diphtheria booster, TID, every 10 years. Hepatitis B vaccine, if the person has never been vaccinated. COVID-19 vaccine, including updated booster doses, especially for high-risk groups. Many of these vaccines are available free of charge through Brazil's public health system, SUS, and getting vaccinated doesn't only protect you, it protects your community, your children, your grandchildren, friends, and neighbors. Immunization is a collective act of love, but prevention doesn't just happen in doctors' offices. It also lives in the small daily acts of self-care, which are often underestimated. Eating healthy, drinking water regularly, maintaining personal and dental hygiene, respecting sleep routines, protecting skin from the sun, keeping the home safe from falls, exercising regularly, enjoying leisure, and maintaining a support network. All these actions build a solid foundation for lifelong health. And more than that, prevention is also about knowing your own body and listening to its subtle signals. Unusual fatigue, sudden pain, frequent forgetfulness, changes in urine, appetite, or mood. Nothing should be ignored. The body speaks, and the sooner we listen, the greater our chance to act effectively. Science is conclusive. Investing in prevention is cheaper, safer, and more effective than treating established disease. A study published in The Lancet Healthy Longevity showed that for every dollar invested in preventive actions for seniors, up to $4 are saved in future treatments. But beyond saving money, it saves suffering, hospitalizations, and unnecessary pain. It's a way of honoring your own body and ensuring more time to live with dignity. Lastly, it's important to break away from the outdated idea that if I feel fine, everything's okay. Aging requires more attention, more vigilance, more kindness toward oneself. And while there may be more risks, there are also more resources, more knowledge, and more opportunities to care wisely. And that is empowering. So if you've been postponing your exams, avoiding vaccines, or ignoring your body's messages, maybe it's time to look at things differently. Prevention is an act of love, and self-love is the greatest gift you can give yourself at any stage of life. Because taking care of yourself isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength, wisdom, and a deep desire to keep living with health, joy, and wholeness. When he turned 65, Mr. Almir heard a neighbor say, "Now it's time to just rest and wait for the days to pass." He smiled, thanked the kind words, and the following week enrolled in a painting class. At 67, he started learning Italian. At 70, he took his first international trip. Today, at 81, he gives talks in schools, sharing stories from his life. Mr. Almir didn't freeze in time. He decided that time would no longer control him. And that is one of the greatest secrets of those who don't grow old inside. They are not limited by the age they are. They expand through the life they still want to live. For centuries, old age was seen as a period of endings, of decline, of loss. But times have changed, and they continue to evolve. Today, at 60, 70, or 80 years old, it's entirely possible to start over, reinvent oneself, explore new passions, build new connections, and even discover hidden talents. Science proves it. The brain remains capable of learning, adapting, and renewing itself well into advanced age. This ability is called neuroplasticity, and it has no expiration date. Studies from Harvard University and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, have shown that the human brain retains its ability to form new neural connections throughout life, especially when stimulated by cognitive challenges, social interactions, and continuous learning. In other words, it is never too late to begin again. Contrary to what was believed in the past, aging doesn't need to mean limitation. It can become an invitation to inner expansion. And it's not just the brain that benefits from new beginnings. The body, the heart, and self-esteem also flourish when an older person feels that they still have a place in the world. A study conducted by the University of Michigan with over 10,000 participants found that seniors who started new hobbies or personal projects after age 60 reported greater life satisfaction, lower incidence of depression, and more motivation to maintain healthy habits. Learning something new, no matter how small, is like opening windows to the future and letting the soul breathe. But to get there, we need to break a very common belief that there is a right age to do things. How many times have you heard or thought that it's too late to start a course, a new love, a new friendship, a new dance? That idea is an invisible prison, because the truth is that the right time is whenever your heart decides it's ready. If there is desire, there is a path. If there is will, there is possibility. And if there is courage, there is no age that can stop the life pulsing inside of you. Learning to live again after 60 also means learning to look at yourself with kindness. Aging doesn't have to be a comparison to who you once were. It can be a celebration of who you are now. Maturity brings something youth cannot: depth. The years you've lived become wisdom, perspective, and clarity. And with that, you can walk lighter, because now you know what really matters. That doesn't mean denying difficulties. Pain exists, losses happen, limitations arise. But those who stay alive inside are the ones who don't surrender to the idea that the best is behind them. They believe the best might be here, in this very moment, or in the next chapter, still waiting to be written. And that hopeful mindset changes everything: your body, your mood, your motivation. It's a personal decision to live as the author of your story, not as a bystander to what's left of it. Learning to live again also means reclaiming autonomy. Society often treats older adults as incapable, fragile, or outdated, but that view is wrong. Studies from the Pan-American Health Organization, PAHO, show that autonomy and independence are essential for the mental and emotional health of seniors. The more control an older person feels they have over their life, the more they engage, take care of themselves, and grow stronger. Autonomy is not just a right, it's fuel for longevity. And that can begin with simple gestures: choosing what to wear, deciding what to learn, reorganizing your routine, rearranging furniture, adopting a new habit, breaking from what no longer serves you, creating a new meaning for your days. Reinvention doesn't have to be grand. It can be subtle, continuous, quiet. What matters is that it's true, that it's yours, that it comes from within, like a flower blooming through concrete, determined to live. So if you feel time has gone by too fast, that something was left behind, that you wish you'd done things differently, breathe. Life is still here. You are still here. And as long as there is life, there is always the possibility to begin again. The past may be visited, but it doesn't need to be your home. The future is still a blank page. And the present is the pen in your hand. No matter your age, remember, it's not time that decides what you can or cannot live. It's your courage, your openness, your decision to keep moving forward even when the world expects you to stop. The ones who don't grow old inside are the ones who dared to say yes to life, even when it seemed too late. And that's why, if you want to, you can start today. You can learn something new, you can teach something old. You can love again, forgive, write, sing, plant, dream, because time doesn't rule your story. You do. And as long as your story continues, there will always be a new chapter waiting to be written. And so we come to the end of this path, but not the end of the journey. Because true longevity is not measured only in years lived, but in how many times you looked in the mirror and recognized yourself, forgave yourself, stood back up, and reinvented your life. Longevity is not just about having time, it's about giving meaning to the time you have. It's making each morning worthwhile, making each small choice full of love, care, and intention. It's turning "I'm still here" into "I still have so much to live for." Throughout the previous topics, we've seen that the elders who don't grow old inside aren't the wealthiest, the luckiest, or the ones who've never had illness. They're the ones who keep their minds active, their spirits light, and their hearts full of will. They eat with wisdom, move with joy, sleep with peace, and wake with purpose. They connect with others, nurture hope and gratitude, believe in preventive medicine, and above all, choose to live fully, even in the most silent phases of life. Science is on their side, and now it's on yours too. All the studies, evidence, strategies, and recommendations we've explored here point to one single truth. It is possible to age well. It is possible to live longer and better. And more than that, it is possible to fall in love with this stage of life, which, contrary to popular belief, can be one of the most beautiful, conscious, and liberating. You don't have to accept the stereotype that after 60 everything declines. Because what declines is only what isn't cared for, what is forgotten, what is abandoned. And now, with everything you've learned, you have the opportunity to care more, to remember yourself more often, and to welcome your own presence with love. You matter. Your time is not over. Your worth has not diminished. Your voice still needs to be heard, especially by yourself. If you've spent years believing it's too late to start, to change, to learn, to dream, allow yourself now to let go of that idea. Time is your ally, and it's never too late to rewrite your chapters. As the poet Mario Quintana once said, "Life is like a train journey. There are stops, curves, climbs, descents, but it never loses its beauty for those who choose to look out the window." And you can choose to look now, in this very moment. You can choose to continue the journey with more lightness, more gratitude, more purpose. You deserve to care for your body with love, your mind with respect, your health with attention, and your soul with generosity. Because you've made it this far carrying battles no one else may know about. And that alone makes you a daily miracle. You are living proof that strength and tenderness can walk side by side, and that the years you've lived are not burdens. They are invisible medals of someone who never gave up on life. So at the end of this journey, here's an invitation. Begin again, today, now, with small actions, with new thoughts, with one step at a time. It doesn't matter if there are aches, scars, or limitations. What matters is the decision to make your next years the best of your life, not because there are no difficulties, but because there is an abundance of presence, truth, and meaning. Remember, the secret isn't in how many years you live. It's in how you live them. It's in how you choose to wake up, how you nourish yourself, how you treat others, how you look at yourself in the mirror. It's in never losing the ability to be moved by simple things, in continuing to believe even when it's hard, in planting flowers even in dry soil, in living with intensity even when the body asks for calm. And may you one day look back and say, with serenity, "I lived fully, deeply, with all my senses, with all my soul." Tell us in the comments, which of these habits will you start applying first? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell to receive more content about health and longevity.